Yo, what the hell's up? Welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I just got done watching The Gentleman. Long story short, The Gentleman is about a drug lord who's trying to retire and sell his multi-million-dollar drug operation, which he built upon years of blood and violence. So I decided to branch out from the usual Netflix and Hulu originals that I have been reviewing and start to include some VODs that I found on Amazon. I did this for a few reasons, one of which being for this movie in particular. I've wanted to see The Gentleman since it came out in February. It was on my list to see it back then, but it didn't come out in my local theater, so I had to settle for seeing The Turning. Much to my dismay in February, but here in April, I found it on VOD and I was excited to see it. There was also a few other titles on there that I was excited to add to my new list, and I really needed a new list because my old one, which I was working off of, which exclusively was made up of Hulu and Netflix originals, that was heading nowhere good. Last week, Lost Girls was the first entry on that list that I was genuinely not excited to watch, but I needed to watch something, and the titles after that, they weren't much better. Or at least they didn't look much better from my perspective, and, well, that's important. I don't think it's a coincidence that the first movie on the list that I was not excited to watch, I ended up hating. So, if I'm someone that actually enjoys watching movies, why would I keep putting myself through movies that I don't want to watch? And subsequently review. I don't like setting up my camera and lights and everything and bitch about movies. I want to do this whole setup and talk happy about movies, and that's what I want to get from this experience. So if I'm not going to get that from the original list, well, let's start a new one. This should make me happier and in turn make you as the audience happier to see me happier. At least I'd hope. I mean, there's enough people bitching on the internet in this day and age. I'm happy to remove myself from that company. At least one less person bitching. That's a better internet, right? And I'm happy to report that we can start right here with The Gentleman because this was a movie to like. The first pro is the dialogue, as you'd expect from a Guy Ritchie movie. That guy knows how to write good, witty dialogue, and this movie had a lot of it. It was super tense when it needed to be, and it also was able to be really funny when it needed to be, and it wasn't like a forced humor. It was nice, natural humor that just felt really organic. And that was probably attributed to the fact that this movie had some great performances, as you'd expect from a lineup like this. Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell, Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant. I mean, damn, there's so many of them here. And every one of them just eats up every scene that they're in. I mean, there were great performances here. I mean, what else can you say? This movie also had a lot of style to it, from the graphics and the presentation. I mean, it had random little notes that they would draw on the screen, like Deadpool wrote it, to the intro title sequence, which looked like a Bond intro sequence if Bond was a pothead, I guess. And there was also a lot of style behind and in the camera, from the use of lighting and color. A conversation in a restaurant between two people with a table in between them that had glasses of, different liquors and stuff. It would just be like a splash of light on it just to kind of make the ice cubes and the liquid in it glisten. It made it look that much more glamorous. I mean, there were just random little touches and some of them big touches that this movie just looked good. And it sounded good. This movie had a great soundtrack. In particular, there was this one sequence, probably the most memorable sequence in the movie, which had this weird little remix of an ODB song, which played really well. I mean, they just had a lot of really good music choices in here, and it was just scored and composed fantastically. This was, as you and I both probably expected, a damn good movie. My cons for the film really just kind of circulate around the plot. It's a very complex, messy, convoluted plot with a lot of webs and branches, and it gets a little messy at times. I don't think it was just me, because I read other people that said the same thing about it, but it was tough to keep track of what was going on and what was being said and what's all happening. I mean, it's a tough movie to navigate. Things just weren't really relayed and delivered, and I think the cleanest, most effective way. Speaking of the delivery, most of the movie, I'd say about 75% of it is kind of told from the recollection, like the two people kind of talking to each other in a conversation, recalling the events that happened throughout the movie, and it's largely told in flashbacks. This is a method of storytelling that I personally rarely like. I'd much rather see things happen in real time. It always feels much more organic, and, the people that are talking and telling the stories, you obviously know in the flashbacks that they're gonna survive, nothing bad's gonna happen to them. Then again, I could see why they chose this storytelling method, because there's a lot to kind of rein in and focus on. So I guess having two people kind of telling the story maybe controls it a little bit more and makes this a little bit more digestible. But I don't know, it just wasn't for me. It had a lot of exposition dumps, you know, them just kind of dumping a bunch of plot information upon you, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't really feel the cleanest. This movie also has a lot of cat and mouse, twists and turns, switcheroos, double crosses, who has the edge on who, which you'd expect from a movie like this. I personally am not a fan of the large quantity. I'm more of the fan of quality of things like this in a story. I think movies are largely built on momentum, so it's like if you have the audience kind of thinking one thing throughout the whole runtime and then you switch it, it's a little bit more seismic, really pull the ground out from underneath the audience and make them go, whoa! Versus if you have a whole bunch of switcheroos where it's just kind of like you have them thinking this way, then this, then this, then this. It just never really gets momentum going, and it just kind of feels indecisive. Like your girlfriend when she can't decide where she wants to eat for dinner. Yeah, let's do burgers. No burgers. Sushi. Let's do sushi. Yeah. Let's do no. Burgers. Let's do burgers. Yeah, let's go burgers, but no. Sushi? All in all, though, this was a great movie. I enjoyed The Gentleman a lot, and it was really a return to form for Guy Ritchie after his weird little collab he did with Disney. I'm gonna give The Gentleman a B+. It feels good to feel good about a movie again. Hot damn. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on new reviews coming real soon. Stay safe and thanks for checking in.